Morning y'all. Very much an office day today. Still the big rush trying to get everything done, so I'm ready for my trip. Yesterday's question obviously doesn't really have an answer. Biggest thing I find is that people seem to like what they don't get a chance to play, which makes sense. So I grew up on a lot of links courses. Even though I played at a Parkland, all the tournaments I used to have to play were predominantly links courses. My game suited more a Parkland style course, and I actually prefer Parkland style courses. Not to say I don't love good links as well. You get some great scenery at links courses. It's just that battling against the elements can get boring if you're doing it week in, week out for me. Bit vanilla, I think. So today's question, post the comments down below with your answers. Tiger's still not ruled out for the Masters. So down there, hit those comments up. Will he or will he not play the Masters? I'm going next week. Don't know how to talk about it. Can I join you two? I'm just gonna sit on my chair.
Can sit on your chair.
Oh, perfect. On my chair, drinking my drinks. That's embarrassing. Will Tiger play the Masters, Orla?
Huh?
Oh, it's a nice chair. So today's swing, it's going to be an interesting one today. We're going to talk about strike. There's a lot of good movements in here. Don't think his ball position from this camera angle is kind of around here. I would say his ball position line is probably going off that way, looking at the lines of the angles. But we'll talk a little bit about ball position. It's hard to tell from that angle. Lots of decent actions in here. Club face is a little bit up to the sky at the top of the backswing. That's purely to do with the grip position at the start, so you could think about your grip. We'll talk about that briefly. But this is the key. Look, this is what I want you to think about. There's a lot of good actions in here, but this strike looks like you catch it out the bottom, literally barely any touching of the ground, and the club seems to wrap, so I would imagine you're hitting that low heel. So we're going to talk about strike and the dynamics of trying to play with strike, which is something so many amateurs, lessons of mine, just don't think they've got the right to do, and you totally have. Let's go to school. Medium one was up at 3 AM. Couldn't get back to sleep, could you, bruh? So he's a little bit slow. She's full of beans though. Let's just quickly talk about some ideas of hitting down or up or ground or no ground, low on the face, middle, high on the face. So I'm going to use my GC quad just to give you some ideas of attack. Standard chip for me, that. Not a bad strike. Brush of the ground, and I was hitting 6 down. That's a more feeling of a sweepy chip. Very similar contact with the ground. That was only 2 down. So my interaction with the ground, strike on the face, was the same, but I changed my angle of attack by 4 degrees. So I caught that one at the bottom of the club, ran long, it was a thin shot, and that was 8.2 down. So you can see I'm moving down and up, and I'm moving where I strike on the face, not really in relationship to the down and up. So I didn't even touch the ground on the one I hit the most down on, and I caught it more out the bottom of the club. People thinking hitting down lots, you're going to catch it fat, maybe up the club. When I get students like this, the first thing I challenge them to do is try and understand where the bottom of the club is in relationship to the ground, rather than worry about what kind of positions they're in. So if they're in my range bay, I would ask them to hit a thin shot, so feel one where they're picking it off the top of the mat and feel like they're taking no ground at all, almost like a fairway bunker shot. Then I'm going to ask them simply to try and hit a lot of mat but ahead of the ball. Then what I'll do is I'll put a 7-iron on a driver tee, a high one, and then I'll put the 7-iron on 1 notch down and then down to a low tee. Each time asking them to find out where they're striking the ball up and down the face, get a feeling for dynamically moving that strike around. Think about it, when you play, you're constantly changing. Unless you're spirit leveling each shot, you're going to find that you're never at the same level as the ball. So there needs to be a dynamic change on strike. Now we're talking millimeters on the face here. We're talking like 7 millimeters, 11 millimeters in difference in high and low and heel and toe strikes that can really affect your shots. So tiny differences, which makes it that more dynamic kind of a feel. Practicing in those different situations from different tee heights, from different places, really heightens their skill of what they're feeling to do to strike the ball in different places on the face. And more often than not, what they come back to is they feel different in their legs. So they feel like they're pushing up more in their legs, or that they're staying down more in their knees, in their legs, to move where that club is in relationship to the ground while maintaining the same angle of attack. Let's answer your questions.
Hey bro, what's going on? Just got a question for you. I've only been golfing for about 4 months, and a lot of talk about the classic swing versus modern swing, and being a new golfer, I'm not quite sure what people are talking about, and I was wondering if you could clarify that. What is a classic swing, you know, a la Sam Snead or Ben Hogan, versus a modern swing? What are the differences, benefits, if there are any, of one over the other? I know everybody's got a different body, they're going to produce different kinds of swings, so just thought maybe you can clear that up. Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. I don't really know. I know some generalizations, but if you think it through, it makes no sense. It's one of those commentators say whatever you blooming well like things, isn't it? So old swing, if you think about Sam Snead, more moving parts, knees, feet moving. But then if you look at someone like Ben Hogan, I mean, he surely had a very modern swing, didn't he? It was kind of tight and neat in lots of places. So there was an era in golf coaching when you had people like Faldo making these kind of really textbook, you know, position-based movements, which people then would look at people like Louis Oosthuizen and think, oh, that's maybe based on all those very neat movements. But then you've got modern players like Bubba and Jordan Spieth, DJ, just swinging, you know, very out there. So it's certainly not something I would ever worry about as a golfer through being newer or older, or being, should I be new style or old style. I think lots of it would relate to learning styles. Some people want to feel and learn in a particular way. So some players do want to just play golf by numbers, so they might want that kind of new swing, modern swing. But hopefully now most people are realising that it's about functional. And there's functional now, and there was functional then. And really the only kind of thing that links them together is functional results-based ideas.
This is a Ryan Little production.
So I like to keep the idea of dynamic training going, and they can do it at home. Grab a 6-iron, preferably an old one, but it doesn't matter. I would use a current one. And I'm just going to challenge myself to make swings without hitting things, where I just land that club on some different surfaces. So that one's above my feet, and obviously if I hit it hard, it's going to move. If I hit it late, it's going to hit the back of it. And without causing damage, I want you to be really creative with this. So I'm down on the metal, and I'm just going to try and get the end of my table, feel how it feels in my legs, in my body. How often are you playing shots in one posture? If the ball's above your feet or below your feet, it's going to differ. How you park that club on the ground needs to change. It's dynamic. It's dynamic as a tennis player, having to move and react to the player's shots. You just got more time to think about it. Time after time I'm seeing people on a range, flat lie, hitting shots, and you just don't get that shot on a golf course. You're practicing something that you get once every 3 rounds almost. You could do this at the range. I've hit shots off the concrete range bay. I've hit shots with 1 foot on the mat, 1 foot off from the back of the mat. So 1 foot off, 1 foot on, and try and not obviously hit the back of the mat. Challenge yourself off these different lies. With different pressures. We love this floor, and I have to be very careful how I react with the club landing on that ground. Feeling again how for me, I always feel like if I'm going to miss this, I'm going to miss this on the slightly tall side. So I'm getting up through my left side a bit more as I come through to brush the ground. And if you're not doing those ideas when you're playing, you're not playing like good players are playing. They're reacting for certain lies. So if the ball's set up in long grass, they're going to try and miss it on the higher side. They don't want to go underneath it and catch it off the top. They're dynamically changing. If they've got a perfect lie, they'll practice that shot they've practiced on the range, just hitting off the flat lies. They got one when the ball's like in a little depression in and maybe a little divot. They're going to try and maybe get that club lower at the bottom. They might even change their angle of attack and move ball positions, those kind of ideas. Dynamic practice. You cannot do it enough. Most of my students don't do it at all. They do after they've had a lesson with me though. So a little footnote to finish. Watch all my grip videos. See if just changing your hold to 2 knuckles and right hand a bit more on top helps you in any way. Again, without seeing from that swing what shape shot you're hitting, all those kind of things, I can't tell, but it might take a bit of twisting out the club. Have a go. I'm not saying that's that's a fit, just have a play with that. And also with strike, sometimes just moving a ball position from say forward to centre, just moving it around a little bit, can also change people's bottoming out point and strike point. And while you're doing the dynamic drills, you should be playing with ball position as well. In a fairway bunker, I'll push the ball slightly further forward to feel like I am going to pluck it a bit more. So I am going to dynamically move everything around. That's a little footnote for you. Right, we've had to come into town to get that barnet cut. That's better. There we go, another daily vlog. Thanks for watching. Mussels tonight. Got some sapphire as well, I love this stuff. Hit that comment section up down below. Will Tiger play Augusta? Remember to hit the thumbs up sign. Thanks to everyone who's watching the daily vlogs and supporting, and all your comments. I look at everyone. Remember to hit that subscribe button as always if you want to keep up to date with all my videos with daily vlogs. Obviously next week I'm going to Augusta and the Masters. Not sure if I've referenced that in this video yet or not. Have a good evening, see you tomorrow. See you later table guys. I'm sitting in the Masters chair.